A selfless act. Once upon a time, there lived a boy called Edward. He was very kind and gentle. Once he saved a rabbit from a trap in the forest, risking his own life. The next day, Edward went to an old junk shop to sell old things. The owner of the shop was a strange looking man. He said, "Hey boy, do you want this ring?" Edward saw the ring and bought it for his mother. He took the ring home and was about to put it on his finger. Just then he heard a whooshing sound, and then there stood before him a pretty fairy. The fairy said, "No, Edward, don't wear it." Edward was scared and he asked, "Why not? Who are you?" The fairy replied, "I am a fairy. I was playing in the disguise of a rabbit, and a hunter trapped me. You saved my life, so I came to save yours. The ring is poisoned. It would kill you as you wear it." "Thank you, fairy," Edward said. To this the fairy said, "Edward, your selfless act saved you."
Hello, I am Chinmay Chitnis. I am from Rotaract Club of Indira, RID 3131. My story name is The Butterfly. A man found a cocoon of a butterfly. One day a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole, until it suddenly stopped making any progress and looked like it was stuck. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, although it had a swollen body and small, shriveled wings. The man didn't think anything of it and sat there waiting for the wings to enlarge to support the butterfly. But that didn't happen. The butterfly spent the rest of its life unable to fly, crawling around with tiny wings and a swollen body. Despite the kind heart of the man, he didn't understand that the restricting cocoon and the struggle needed by the butterfly to get itself through the small opening were God's way of forcing fluid from the body of the butterfly into its wing to prepare itself for flying once it was out of the cocoon. Moral of the story: our struggles in life develop our strength. Without struggles, we never grow and never get stronger. So it's important for us to tackle challenges on our own and not to be relying on help from others. Thank you.
Never lie. Adam had learned from his friends that lying is the easiest way out of any situation. So he became fond of lying and enjoyed telling small lies. When his parents caught him and warned him against telling lies, he shrugged them off, saying, "Lies never harm anyone." Adam's father decided to explain to him why lying is bad. One evening, Adam and his father were walking down the street with some groceries. Just then, they saw a car ram into a bookstore. Adam's father asked a man what happened, and he replied. The car driver lied to his father that he could see without spectacles. They both were in the car when the accident happened. The father was seriously hurt. "I am sure the boy regrets ever lying." Adam's father looked at Adam and said, "See, Adam, a lie is so dangerous. It can hurt people." Adam realized the huge cost of a lie and stopped lying. Always share. Caleb was a very selfish boy. He never shared his toys with anyone. His parents were worried as to how to teach him about kindness and sharing. Then one day, Caleb was returning from school on his new bicycle. As Caleb was watching, a boy fell into a ditch and hurt himself. The boy cried, "I can't move my arm." Caleb would never help anyone, but that day he felt sad for the boy. So he rushed to him and helped him stand up. He said to the boy, "Looks like you have fractured your hand. Sit behind me, I'll ride you to the hospital." Later that evening, the boy's parents visited Caleb and thanked him. "You are a very kind boy. God will always bless you." After they had left, Caleb's father said, "Son, see the blessings you received by being kind and sharing." Caleb understood the importance of being kind and decided to show love always.
A story about the elephant and the rope. As my friend was passing the elephants, he suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope tied to their front leg. No chains, no cages. It was obvious that the elephants could at any time break away the ropes they were tied to, but for some reason they did not. My friend saw a trainer nearby and asked why these beautiful, magnificent animals just stood there and made no attempts to get away. Well, he said, when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size of rope to tie them, and at that age, it's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. My friend was amazed. These animals could at any time break free from their bonds, but because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck right where they were. Like the elephants, how many of us go through life hanging onto a belief that we cannot do something simply because we failed at it once before? How many of us are being held back by old, outdated beliefs that no longer serves us? How many of us have avoided trying something new because of a limiting belief? Worse, how many of us are being held back by someone else's limiting belief? Think about it.
Hello, children. Today I'll narrate a story of the famous Akbar Birbal series. The story is titled Farmer's Well and Witty Birbal. So, once a man sold his well to a farmer. Next day, when the farmer went to draw the water from that well, the man did not allow him to draw the water. He said, I have sold you the well, but not the water. So you cannot draw the water from this well. The farmer became very sad and came to the emperor's court. He described everything to the emperor and asked for justice. The emperor called Birbal and handed over this case to him. Birbal called the man who sold the well to this farmer. Birbal asked, why don't you let him use the water of the well? You have sold the well to the farmer. The man replied, Birbal, I have sold the well to the farmer, but not the water. He has no right to draw the water from the well. Now Birbal thought for a moment, smiled and said to him, good, but look, since you have sold the well to this farmer and you claim that the water is yours, then you have no right to keep your water in the farmer's well now. Either you pay the rent to the farmer to keep your water in this well, or you take all of that water out of his well immediately. The man understood that his trick has failed. Birbal had definitely outwitted him. So what is the moral of the story? Never try to cheat. You will end up paying for it regardless of how smart you think you are. So children, I hope you enjoyed the story. Bye-bye.
I have a cute little doggy whose name is Mr. Bobby. He neither has any work nor has any hobby. He jumps in the house all day and that's how he likes to play. He licks me and wags his tail when I gift him a toy. This is the way he expresses himself when he is in joy. He enjoys going outdoor and playing with the ball. He runs swiftly to get it back when I give him a call. We all go to sleep at night, but Mr. Bobby is wide awake and ready to bark and fight. He protects my home from the people who are bad, and that is what makes my parents glad.
The Tale of the White Witch of Rose Hall is neither a story of love nor evil, faith nor fear. It is somehow a combination of all those things. Annie Mae Patterson became the second mistress of the beautiful Rose Hall estate after she married the grandnephew of John and Rose Palmer, the couple who had originally completed construction of the estate and later died childless, leaving it to their nephew. Up until this point of marrying John Rose Palmer, Annie had not lived a very charmed life. She originally moved to Haiti with her merchant parents as a child. However, they later contracted the dreaded yellow fever virus and died, leaving her to be raised by her nanny, who was a voodoo priestess. Annie's nanny taught her everything she knew of evil spirits, though she did not know at the time how these evil practices would come to serve her later in life. At age 18, Annie Mae's nanny also died, and so she came to Jamaica in search of a rich man to marry and set up a better life. Unfortunately for him, this rich man was John Rose Palmer, and Annie Mae Patterson became Annie Palmer, the second mistress of the picturesque estate. Annie, who stood at only 4 feet 11 inches tall, entertained herself with her various love affairs with persons in the planter class and a few slaves here and there. She used the evil magic that her nanny had taught her to get people out of her way, and was incredibly wicked to the slaves on the plantation. Hence they dubbed her the White Witch of Rose Hall. After marrying John Rose Palmer, Annie fell in love with her bookkeeper, Robert Rutherford. However, Robert was in love with his housekeeper, a slave by the name of Millicent. They were indeed in a relationship, and it only took a week for Annie to use her voodoo spells on Millicent, causing her to wither and die. For approximately 10 years, Annie was the mistress of the Rose Hall estate. During that time, she killed 3 husbands and countless slave lovers. The first husband she poisoned by pouring arsenic in his coffee. They were only married for 7 years. The second husband she stabbed to death with a knife and poured hot oil into his ears. They were only married 2 years. The third and final husband she strangled to death with the help of her slave lover, Taku. He was only alive and together with Annie for 6 months. Eventually, Annie was killed by her slave lover, Taku, as revenge for the killing of one of his relatives on the plantation. One night, he came up from the plantation into her bedroom, she expecting him to make love to her, and strangled her to death. Annie is buried on the Rose Hall estate up to this day. It is said that her spirit still roams the estate, as somehow it was not locked in using the same evil magic that she learned in Haiti. There should be 4 crosses on her tomb, however there are only 3, allowing her to enter and exit her tomb as she feels necessary.